In the last few days that closed up the previous year, many investors had their doubts and reservations about this year becoming a Bitcoin year. Now, the perspective should have changed. Every good news in the crypto market has been about Bitcoin. And for Cardano ADA, things are starting to get interesting. A quick background story. In 2021, Bitcoin's price hit an all-time high at $69,000, while Ethereum continued its long slog towards $5,000 after reaching a new high of $4,800. However, shortly after hitting the fresh milestone, traders began taking profit, leading to a near $7,000 drop, which plunged Bitcoin's price below $63,000. An interesting slice of the story is that the breakout was initiated right as the report from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics showed a sharp 6.2 annual rise in the Consumer Price Index, a figure that had hit its highest mark in 30 years. According to the BLS, rising energy costs fueled a rise in CPI, but for at least 6 months, analysts have tracked the rising costs of food and other goods. Nonetheless, amidst rising inflation, the Federal Reserve and Biden administration continued to message that the situation was under control, but equities markets reacted negatively to the news. Despite the concerning news and slight pullback in traditional markets, Bitcoin and Ethereum prices rose, a dynamic that analysts such as Anthony Pompliano refer to as asymmetric price action, where investors see a red-hot stock market and unsustainable central bank monetary policymaking risk on assets like Bitcoin as attractive investments and hedges against gold, the dollar, and inflation. Let's just say that Bitcoin bloomed in a very difficult situation. However, shortly after achieving these astronomical new heights, Bitcoin's price fell back towards $62,700 before recovering slightly to around $64,500, while most altcoins endured near double-digit losses. Even though the downside move was shocking to some investors, slight corrections after reaching new all-time highs are a customary practice for Bitcoin. At the time, a glance over discussions by many analysts and traders on Twitter showed that the most expected Bitcoin to revisit lower support levels at $64,000 and before recapturing bullish momentum and moving higher. At least this was the hope. The price of Bitcoin indeed peaked around $69,000 in November of 2021, but 2022 was a disaster amid the implosion of the Terra ecosystem and the disintegration of the crypto exchange FTX and its wonderkind founder Sam Bankman-Fried in November of 2022, along with many other high-profile crypto industry blowups. As a result, Bitcoin closed 2022 at just above $16,000, down about 75% from its all-time high. Many other crypto tokens suffered even larger ruts. Alongside the price drops and big-name collapses, layoffs and shop closings were common throughout the industry. This trend even continued throughout 2023. While 2023 will be remembered as a major bull market period for crypto, the price action for Bitcoin was rather lame throughout much of the year. On October 1st of 2023, Bitcoin sat at just around $27,000, ahead more than 65% for 2023, but a relatively small recovery considering how high Bitcoin has been. There was a silver lining as the year's final quarter was characterized by growing confidence that the SEC was finally going to greenlight the investment vehicles in early 2024. The price of Bitcoin rose nearly 60% in 2023's final 3 months to close the year above $42,000. Currently, ever since that jump in price at the beginning of February, there have been wild predictions about Bitcoin. According to Thomas Lee, managing partner and head of research at research firm Fundstrat, Bitcoin can soar as high as $150,000 in 2024. But that's just the beginning. He further estimated that Bitcoin will be valued at over $500,000 over the next 5 years. Lee made these remarks in a CNBC interview, and host Andrew Ross Sorkin challenged him, asking about criminals who use the digital asset. Pirates were the first people that liked gold, so we knew gold was a good store of value, Lee said. Lee predicted that the crypto industry is growing increasingly bullish about the prospect of another bull market. Being a contributor on CNBC and a former JP Morgan analyst, Lee has been a vocal proponent of Bitcoin. In June, he even predicted that it would rise to $200,000. Bitcoin soared past the $52,000 mark earlier in February and is now trading at levels not seen since late 2021. Several factors have driven the new Bitcoin rally. They include increased demand from the newly approved spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds in the US and the expected April halving. According to Lee, the halving will cut the rewards for Bitcoin miners in half, thus limiting the supply of the asset, which is expected to drive the price up if demand remains high. And if monetary policy eases, which we expect, that's supportive of risk assets, and Bitcoin's holding up, and that's another reason why I don't think a drawdown is going to start that soon, Lee said, seemingly referring to highly anticipated interest rate cuts from the US Federal Reserve. Well, Lee is not the only optimist. We are optimistic too. Plus, different traders, analysts, online punters, and market stakeholders have wagered that Bitcoin will shoot past its 2021 all-time high of $69,000 before the end of June. Now, we are reminded of what Michael Saylor said about Bitcoin last year, because the Bitcoin halving was just months away. Michael Saylor claimed that the demand for Bitcoin could grow by as much as 10x by the end of 2024. During a speech at the 2023 Australia Crypto Convention in November 10th, Saylor was asked to give his outlook for Bitcoin and its ecosystem over the next 4 to 5 years. In response, Saylor initially gave a rundown on the period between 2020 and 2024, noting that Bitcoin went from being seen as an offshore unregulated asset to an institutionalized mainstream app. Also, honing in on the near term, Saylor said that Bitcoin will become an adolescent mainstream asset by the end of 2024, as he highlighted key dynamics surrounding supply and demand that will soon come into play. He said, "I think that this next 12 months is going to be big, because demand every month should double or triple, or maybe even go up by a factor of 10, anywhere from 2 to 10, and the supply available for sale will be cut in half in April." Saylor went on to describe the next 12 months for Bitcoin as its coming out party, as the asset graduates from college and heads out into the real world. Looking at 2024 through 2028, Saylor predicted that Bitcoin would continue to be in its high growth stage as adoption spread across the big tech industry and mega banks worldwide, with both sectors integrating Bitcoin into their products and services. Furthermore, he said he expects to see a lot of competition among companies like Apple and Meta to get their hands on Bitcoin to eventually sell for major profits. You're going to have ferocious competition and will among Wall Streeters to get most asset share, and you're going to have crypto exchanges competing. You're going to have other tech companies getting involved. That'll be one check. The big question is where does Cardano ADA stand in this bull season? From recent reports, Cardano ADA could be on the path to breaking new price levels in the coming weeks, as indicated by on-chain data and adoption growth. The creation of new wallets on the Cardano blockchain has seen multiple spikes on various days since the beginning of February, showing a potential influx of new money into Cardano. According to on-chain data, new addresses on the Cardano network spiked 89%. And similarly, this metric witnessed a 248% surge earlier in the month, between February 1st and February 2nd. Such a huge influx of new wallets is a very bullish signal for ADA. Plus, active daily addresses have climbed above 30,000 since the beginning of the year, recently reaching 64,568 active addresses on February 16th. This growth on the back end reflects the interest that in the Cardano ecosystem is skyrocketing as more people want to get their hands on the native ADA token. This could translate into more demand for ADA, leading to a price increase. ADA holders have been left wondering if the price can revisit its all-time high above $3.10 this year. After ranging and trading mostly 60 cents last week, ADA has now broken past the 62-cent mark again after a 6.99% influx into the entire crypto market. However, ADA's path back to the all-time high of $3 remains difficult, as it must overcome numerous price resistances. Notwithstanding, as long as Cardano stays above 66 cents, it is in good shape to eventually reach $1.20. Many long-term holders who brought around this price point would likely sell here to break even, but if adoption increases and demand is strong enough, ADA could power right through. And one thing is even certain, Bitcoin won't go all the way to the top, leaving altcoins like Cardano ADA behind. But that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you click on subscribe notification buttons, and we'll see you in the next video.